Good evening. I'm London Jen. It's Thursday night. Oh my God. My son is tearing down the kitchen. I just told him I'm about to be live with the champion of the year. I keep telling you, my son does not rate me, and this is further proof. Clearly doesn't rate the champion of the year. I don't know why. This man needs no introduction, but I'm going to try and give him one anyway. He's got many a title. He went from, or his title, Kingpin says it all. He's gone from the Proving Grounds, Mr. Proving Grounds, to the top tier. He's been King of the Dot champion. He is now champion of the year. Without further ado, let us bring him on. Chilla Jones. Chilla, how you
Hey,
doing?
we're shaking. How you feeling?
Good evening. I was feeling great. I was super prepared. I had this like really cool intro. There were several more lines in there. I went on like told my son, like literally 2 minutes, son, like big one today. Like it's always, live, please. He just went pots and pans clattering down and everything, just like this is not how I wanted to introduce you. But we're here now. Thank you
We
so,
here.
so much for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, the man of the year, literally.
That's what they
You
say.
Yeah, that's what they say.
That's what they say.
It seems to be the consensus. I mean,
Yes.
I'm not going to argue. Not with that. Not with that panel. Hell no. I don't want those problems at all. But I'm not going to keep you long. I know you've been insanely busy, so but I have to ask you a few questions. And the first thing that I want to know, the year that you had. I mean, 2020 alone, such an incredible year, the achievements that you made. What was the plan? How much of that, what was the intention going into 2020? How much did you have names on your agenda? How much of the way it turned out did you plan?
um, I wish I could tell you I had this like laid out
Mm,
and blueprinted. I really didn't. Because of my previous stints with URL, anybody who has followed my career can attest to the fact that I I'm on URL, I'm off URL. I'm on URL, I'm off URL, and it just depends on a lot of different things. And so, um, after losing the King of the Dot title to Real Deal in November of 2019, I don't know that I had a plan going back to URL. I was scheduled for Rum Nitty, and I think with that battle, I just wanted to kind of remind people of my dangerousness
mm,
and of what I can do on that platform because I hadn't been on URL in quite some time. After that, I didn't know what to expect. Honestly, Jen, I didn't know, um, you know, how much URL was going to be willing to book me, who they
mm,
were going to be willing to book me against. Um, Luckily the battle with Nitty came out, really dope, and I think it made people want to see me again and see me more often. So after that, they booked me against New Jersey Twerk,
mm.
top of the year for 2020, and that's kind of where my 2020 run began. Was with New Jersey Twerk, and even after that battle, which was toward the end of January, um, I, I I wasn't booked again until June. And so
And you've done some quarantine stuff in between, I think, where there's a couple of
yeah, I
quarantine battles,
so
but not an
yeah,
actual booking, even though there were several events. Yeah.
right, yeah. So I wasn't a part of Genesis, which I think that was the first big
Yeah.
event that URL did in conjunction with Caffeine.
Hmm.
So I wasn't a part of that. And then I think they had started the Ultimate Madness tournament.
Yeah, sure.
which I wasn't a part of. You know, that was for more, I think, the newer guys, the rookies, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call
And
it.
you weren't on any of the undercard fight. I always call them undercard, but they had battles in
Yeah,
between,
like the
non-tournament
showcase.
battles. Yeah, the
Yeah.
showcase battles. Yeah.
I wasn't a part of any of those. The next battle that I was booked for after Twerk was Geechee, and
Mm.
that was on the roof in Los Angeles, and that was I think Sterilized 2 was the name of that card, but that was with B Magic Jerry West, B Dot versus the Saga,
Yeah.
um, Danny Myers versus New Jersey Twerk, Coffee versus KCJ, and I think a
Sure.
couple other battles. So up until that point, honestly, Jen, I didn't know how big of a role I was gonna really play, even up until going through June.
Wow. So
Um,
even mid-year, you weren't sort of thinking champion of the year potential at all, or you had no idea what was
yeah,
going to, pan
yeah,
out.
absolutely. And after that, after June, I think things kind of picked up a little bit. I started to gain a
Mm.
little bit of momentum. So after that, I had Jerry West, and I think that was shortly after Gnome, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I was disappointed to not be on Gnome.
Sure.
Um, but I had a battle with Jerry West. That went really well. After that, I had the battle with Real Sick. And again, I was disappointed not to be on Summer Madness. Um, and had a really good battle with Real Sick. A lot of people feel like that was the
Incredible
best battle.
battle.
Yeah,
Incredible battle. I love that battle so much. I think you probably have my favorite bar of the year, the dyslexic, but you read it wrong. It's,
thank you,
I love that. I love that bar. It just
thank you.
tickles me differently. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, even up to that point, Jen, it was like, I knew that I had been performing really well. I was really consistent. I knew that I was giving out good content, but having not been on Gnome or Summer Madness, and up until that point with Jerry West, having only been on Caffeine one time,
Mm,
I really wasn't sure. I really wasn't sure
yeah.
where I stood or what was happening. I think because of the consistency of my performances, I was definitely in contention. But I definitely feel like up to that point, that B Dot had
A
a
stronger
more
claim.
a bigger campaign for sure.
Mm,
Because of the amount of exposure he had been getting through Caffeine. He was a little more active. He had more battles. He got a chance to do Summer Madness.
mm,
He also had a chance to do the Halloween card with Murder Mook.
sure.
And so, going into my battle with B Dot, I definitely. I mean, I still feel like I had a case, but this whole entire year, Jen I was winging it. I didn't have anything planned. I didn't have it mapped out. I just knew that every time I stepped on URL, I wanted to prove myself, and
Mm.
that's still kind of the mentality that I have. Every time you guys see me on that platform, I'm trying to prove I am the best in the world every single time.
Yeah, well,
Um, so
you're doing a great job. And whilst I love, a plan, a strategy, a very sort of thought out path, it's great when things just line up
yeah,
and one thing leads on to the next, to the next, to the next, and then you're like, holy shit, look where I am. Let's just keep going. Things are lining up,
exactly.
and the road ahead is there for me if I just continue to prove myself on the stage. I saw you say something recently, which I've really appreciated. You were talking about not becoming overexposed or oversaturated, not allowing people to miss you. And
Yes.
I think it's a great thing that it can be. I can imagine, not in this, ever been in this sort of position myself, but you get to a stage where this is. I imagine you've always wanted to be. You're the kingpin. You are one of the best pens ever.
Mm-hmm.
You are champion. You've racked up all the accolades now, and I imagine you just want to kind of, do I slow down or do I just push ahead? What do I do now? I think I
Yeah.
saw another thing you said recently, you're at a turning point. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really interested in how sort of you're going to maneuver through, 2021. And I
Mm-hmm.
like the idea of make them miss you.
Yeah. It's really just about being a little more selective.
Mm.
Um, looking at last year, I had 5 battles on URL. I had 2 1-round battles off of URL, which were um, against local guys from my region because I really wanted to give them a shot and give them a little bit of exposure.
Mm.
Um, so even that, Jen, a lot of that was due to the pandemic.
Sure.
But prior to that, in 20, for instance, in 2017, I think I battled 18 times.
Wow.
2018, I battled 15 times. 2019, I think I battled 10 or 11 times. So, I'm used to being active. I'm used
Yeah.
to doing battles back to back weeks or 3 in a month or, you know, I'm I'm generally used to that and have been used to that. And so, with the pandemic, with a majority of the league slowing down, with that period at the beginning of 2020 where people were just we didn't know enough about the virus and we didn't know
Mm.
enough about how easily it spreads and things like that. And so when we had that moment of like video battles and quarantine battles and things like that, um, I think it really forced everybody to slow down and it really forced
Mm.
everything to kind of come to a screeching halt. So um, in 2021, I think I really just want to continue to be very calculated and strategic about my matchups, my opponents. Um, I want to make sure that I am giving the best material that I can, the best content, that I'm well prepared, that I have time to write because, despite the great year I had in 2020, a few of those battles were constructed within 2 weeks of the event. Me and Jerry
Insane.
West was 2 weeks prep. Me and Real
You and
Sick
sick
was
was,
11
yeah.
days prep.
Yeah.
Um, the only battle where I had more than a month to get ready was B dot. Every other battle
Wow.
was under a month, and 2 of them were under 2 weeks. Geechee was just under 3 weeks. So like to be able to put myself now in a position where every time you guys see me, I can ensure that I have 2 months to really put together 3 solid rounds to give to you guys. I fully want to take advantage. I fully want to do that. I want to make sure that every time you guys see me, it's a well rested,
Mm.
well prepared Chilla Jones, and not one that's you know speed writing, albeit still good material. One that's speed writing to put everything together in 10 days.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
I like that strategy.
I'm gonna be strategic. You guys will probably see me. I mean, you've seen me once against K Shine. You'll
Mm.
probably see me, I would say, 3 more times in 2020 if I have my way. Would be Gnome, would be Summer Madness, would be Volume 8. Um, I'm open to maybe 1 or 2 more battles,
Mm.
with the right opponents, depending on who they are.
If that makes
Um,
sense.
but yeah, otherwise, I want to just really, really, like you said, not overexpose myself, not oversaturate myself, and really give the people time to miss me and to want to see me, and to kind of build that demand.
Mm. Yeah, I like that. You said that there are three that you've got. So if I've seen obviously Lux, big talk about Lux, or three that
Yeah.
you want, three you would like to have this year, maybe a couple of others.
Mhm.
I've seen you really want Tay Rock. Seen you talking about that.
He's number one right now on the list.
Yeah,
With all
number
due
one.
respect to Lux.
Well, Lux is sort of potentially maybe tied up with Daylight. That's supposed
Right.
to
Yeah.
happen first, isn't it?
Um,
In fact,
but yeah.
let me direct to Lux quickly.
Sure.
So Lux is obviously, he's got the next battle supposed to be locked in is Daylight. The B dot battle is very much talked about. That is one that should happen. And obviously Chilla. Like those are three names that need to happen for Lux this year, or the culture is asking for. They want Lux and everyone else involved. Seems like that's a plan. How do you think those battles go for Lux? Those three battles, I'm sure you think there's a win, one win at least.
Yeah. I mean, I think him and Daylight will be. I think Lux and Daylight is a potential battle of the year candidate whenever it happens. If the Daylight from the Tay Rock battle shows up, he's tough for anybody in that mode. So, I don't know, man. If I'm gonna be honest,
Please do. That's all we do around here.
you know, I think Lux has a hard time beating any of us. If I'm being honest, and I don't think it's a matter of Lux not being talented enough or anything like that. But I think we're getting to a point now where Lord Lux has got to stand in front of bona fide pens. And for the better part of the last 8 to 9 years, he hasn't. So we've seen him against Clips and Verb and Arsenal and Rockin' Chess and Calico and Mook, but we haven't seen him against the greatest pens in our culture. And a lot of us consider Lux to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest pen in our culture. And so, in an era where there are no big stages, and the small rooms are kind of all we have, maybe for the foreseeable future, it's time. You know what I mean? It's time. If it were up to me, he would take all three of us this year and run the gauntlet. Take all three of us with limited prep time and see how you do, because that's what we do year in and year out.
Well, I couldn't agree more. My setup to this question, which I kind of diverted out of because I always have to tread very carefully when I'm talking about the legends, the greats, the Mount Rushmore people. I was saying, Lux in the last few years has not been electrifying. He's not pandemic tested. And I don't have the nostalgia factor. Obviously, I look back and I see what the greats did when they did it. And I'm like, wow, incredible, like amazing. It was looking back, this was part of my introduction. First battle I ever saw, you and JC, amazing, incredible battle. You and JC have moved on miles and miles since then. Your style is, elevated, all the rest of it. But I can look back and I, totally see why our legends are our legends.
Right.
But when I look at them in the light of day, when I look at some of them and their last few performances over the last few years, I don't get the same sort of. I look at the battle slightly differently because I'm looking at them like, okay, yeah, that's the legend. I know that's the legend, but I wasn't there when he was the legend. So I'm not attached to your legend status. So when I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, okay, certain things, respectfully, utterly respectfully, I'm not trying to say anyone is not deserving of their status, but it's exactly that. And like, I'm seeing like the take the Shine battle, for example, you and Shine, and I guess your material was a big part of that. I'm now going to look at shine battles in this era quite differently. I'm going to look at pointers that Chilla pointed out, and things might not look the same. Like
Right.
I'm looking now with slightly different eyes. When I'm like, these battles, the culture wants them. There's nobody who's like, nah, that shouldn't happen. Like B-Dot, Chilla, Daylight versus Lux in a small room, like in this era. Even if we open up, next week, no, these are small room bouts. This is, if we don't get them, for me, I'm drawing inferences, like, and it may be there are reasons why for Lux it does not work with his life, with his whatever. But if it's 3 battles, 3, you said, in the last few years you've done 10, 15 and 18 in a year. Like you did what, 5, 6 last year, plus a couple of extras during a pandemic, during a time where you had to sit out for several months. You had a gap of 5 months. Like if Lux can't get those 3 in, like I feel like at the end of 2021, I can have different conversations with my whole chest with people who want to tell me about your legend, like, and what he's done and what he, like, how do you feel about that? If you don't get the Lux battle in 2021 and it's not for reasons which you feel are justified, valid life reasons or whatever, what do you take from that?
I actually wholeheartedly agree with everything that you said. I think that I just think times have changed, and like you said, with all due respect to his status, with what he's done, and with the way battle rap has evolved and where it is now, I think we're at a point where this battling every year and a half, 2 years thing is, it's not, I'm not going to say it's not the move, but I'm going to say that I don't think it proves your greatness. I can't imagine what B-Dot could do if he had a year between battles. I can't imagine what Daylight could do if he battled once a year. I can't imagine what I would do if you gave me 8 months to prepare for somebody. And so, with all due respect to Lux, we have graded him under, I feel like, special circumstances, and then compared him to the rest of us in very different circumstances. And so we're comparing, a great who has total control over who he battles and total control over the amount of time he has to prepare against other greats who may battle 8 times a year or 9 times a year or 10 times a year. I'll take Danny Myers as an example. Danny Myers is a great in this game. And we've seen Danny have some stumbles. We've seen Danny have some chokes. But that's not because he isn't great. It's a tribute to his warrior mentality. I've seen Danny do 3 3-round battles in a weekend and deliver incredible material. So if you stumble or you have a glitch in your memory, I can forgive that because you are trying to deliver for the culture 3 3-round battles in a weekend.
Insane.
That is insanity. And it's things like that, to me, are true measures of greatness. To be able to do things like that is far more legendary to me than being able to pop up once every year and have a great 3 rounds.
That's a great point. But also, is he popping up and having three great rounds? I mean, they're good. When I'm saying great, are they once a year 3 rounds? Are you leaving, dropping the mic, and everyone like, oh, whoa, what did we?
No.
That's what we should be getting, because
Yeah.
you're Lux, and you could have said at the beginning of the year, I want him, sat down for 9 months, then told URL, I want him, give me him in 4 weeks, you know, and you should be coming and leaving us speechless,
Yeah.
you know, because we're not going to get it again for a little. Like when you're saying, you know, if we don't see you now for a few months, I don't see Chilla now for months and months. I'm expecting, like, when I do, you're going to, you know,
Yeah. I'm gonna
impress
pull
the
up
hell out of
smoking shit.
it. That's it. Because surely that's as part of the reason why, you know, legends. I like the fact that you can put in your work, you can slog away, and there's, I guess, questions about how much slogging away and when the slogging was done, but you can do all of that and then sit back and say, yeah, no, I don't have to come outside. Yeah, I'm passionate, I'm all the way. I will give you, you know, what I can give you, but when I do, it's going to be amazing. You're going to love it and you're going to want me to come back. And I don't know, I don't feel like we've gotten that from the past few performances. And I think this year, in this setting, which is surely, you know, the most ideal setting for Lux and for these battles. If we don't get them, for me, it speaks volumes. But
Yeah,
you know,
no, I totally agree. Totally agree. You know, when you know, we can even take Daylight as an example. The 3 rounds we got from Daylight versus Tay Rock was the type of performance that I can wait a year to see that again. A new version of that. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. The 3 rounds that Lux had for Surf. Okay. He had a couple lines that I liked. I didn't think what he did against Surf was incredible. I didn't think it was better than what Daylight did against Rock.
At all.
You know, it was a good battle. You know,
Mook against Rock the other day as well.
Yeah.
You know, he came back at incredible performance. If he doesn't do that for another year, I don't think anyone's mad either.
Right.
Not exactly the same sort of level of writing of the Daylight battle, but just in terms of legends who don't pop out often. I was very critical of Mook. Not critical. I was very cautious of the sort of Mook that we were going to get for a similar reason. You know, I haven't been electrified by performances over the last couple of years. I shut my mouth after watching that, and next time Mook comes out, I'm going to be watching with bated breath, because I've seen what he did recently and what that did for me. I don't get the same thing with recent Lux performances. So not to keep going on about Lux, but yeah. When hopefully, you know, this pandemic will ease at some point over the next, you know, in the near future. We love you here in the UK. You obviously love us because you come over here and you give incredible performances over here. Scoop obviously is a battle that I think was supposed to have happened at one point. Is that something that, you know, when do you see coming back over to the UK, assuming, you know, the world opens back up at some point? Where does that lie?
As soon as it's possible.
Okay.
The minute it's possible. The minute it's possible and I get a phone call, I'm there.
That's what's up.
The UK is my favorite place to perform.
Oh.
It's my favorite place to perform. So the minute that I can go over there, Scoop, Soul, Raptor.
Raptor reckons he's retired right now. Raptor, would you come out of retirement for Chilla? Is that?
He'll come back for me.
Would you? Yeah, I mean,
he'll come back for me. Scoop, Soul, Raptor, and maybe Yunnan.
Okay.
I like those names. But yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. Well, come on, UK government, can we get our shit together so we can get Chilla over here and get them battles popping? Because You know, you like to battle over here. We love when you do as well, because you know, you don't come and give us light rounds. You don't give us material that you wrote on your flight, and if you did, I have no idea, because you know, you come and you do yourself and us proud. You know, a lot of people
Thank you.
will take the flight and take the piss, and just come and, you know, come with 2 rounds and literally say that's all I've got and that's all you're getting. But I certainly appreciate that, you know, that you like to come and do your thing.
Every time that I've been there, um, I get, from the very first time, I remember it like it was yesterday. The very first time I was there, it's the Battle C Major. It was in Leeds. I was a headline. I remember talking to DNA, and I was like, man, I'm terrified. Like, what if they don't like me? What if they don't like my accent? What if, just so many different questions, just overthinking it, over analyzing the situation,
Insane to
and,
me.
and, and DNA was like, he was like, Chilla. He was like, this is one of the better crowds in battle rap. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. And I remember the minute I started to rap, and the first, you know, bit of reaction I got, I felt like I was home. It felt like
Mm.
I was in Boston. You know what I mean? And that's how it's always been, from C Major to Sharon to Tony D to Soul and Pedro, to Mystery. All the battles that I've done there, the crowd always makes me feel like I'm in the middle of Boston.
Mm.
Um, and I've always like I've always felt indebted in a way to the people of the UK for that. And so for that, I will always show up and put on a show out there. Always. As
Oh,
long as you
thank
guys
you
will
for
have
that.
me.
Yeah, we will keep having you, and you know, big love to everyone in the UK who makes Chilla feel so welcome, and you know, he comes over here and does what he does. But yeah, can't wait until you come back over. Looking forward to seeing you again when you're ready, when you're rested, when you're, you know, like you say, all of those performances on very short notice.
Yeah.
The next Chilla I see, you know, if it's after a few months of just sitting down, writing, thinking, planning, plotting, yeah, I'm
Always.
here for that. Well, thank you so much, Chilla, for coming on. Like, it's a real pleasure, honor for you to like bless my little platform over here. Really appreciate it. Lots of comments. Lots and lots of love. I'm gonna ignore all of the comments. I'm gonna shout out just people quickly. Shout out Kelvin. Shout out Wiretap. Shout out D Natural. So much love for Chilla in the comments. Shout out Troy every time. Devin, shout out to you. I'm gonna let Chilla go and do cool shit. And thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, everyone in the comments. Chilla, do you want to leave us with anything?
Um, just, stay tuned in to everything I have going. I got a lot of things coming out, even though I will not be in the ring for a little while. I definitely have some music on the way. So follow Jones Inc. 2020 on Instagram for all updates. Um, I also have a mini documentary that'll be coming out. Um, really will give everybody a glimpse into my 2020, how
Oh,
certain
wow.
things came together, certain things that I was going through behind the scenes that people may not be aware of. The documentary is called Heavy as the Head, and it'll be probably like an 8 or 9 episode mini doc. Um, but that will start coming out probably toward the beginning of April.
Okay.
And then lastly, be on the lookout for my single Day Ones featuring Method Man.
Mm.
That'll be coming out toward the beginning of April as well.
Awesome. Okay. Well, everybody go and follow Chilla, and stay tuned and
Follow me
support.
Instagram, Twitter at Chilla Jones. Follow me everywhere.
Make sure you heard the man. Okay, Chilla. Well, good night and thank you so much, everybody. We are going to leave, like, share, subscribe, do all of that. Thank you so much for joining. Good night.
Good night. Thank you so much.